Bike.
Like.
Eat.
Wall. Whatever.
Water bottle.
Water bottles.
Computer.
Laptop.
Phone.
Life.
Love, 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 love.
Love, life, and light.
Texas.
My aunt.
And scene.
This is Improv in Real Life. I'm Jude Treder-Wolff. I've worked in mental health for 40 years, and in that time, the world has changed completely. Technology has transformed how we communicate, connect, even how we work. But in our relationships, change doesn't happen that fast. That's where improv comes in. Improvisers learn to create together without a plan, and they do that by learning a set of skills. Anyone can learn these skills, and they translate directly to life. In this podcast, we'll explore how improv can help us navigate the speed of life. And together, we'll explore how to face change with creativity, agility, and a sense of play. Have you ever been sitting in a class and you know the answer to a question, but your heart starts pounding out of your chest at the thought of speaking out loud? Or you get invited to a party and you want to go, but you also have this feeling of dread about it? Or you walk into a room where people you know and like are talking to each other and suddenly get a shyness attack and go sit at a table by yourself staring at your phone like the new kid in middle school. This is social anxiety, and my guest on this episode specializes in using improv techniques to treat it. And nerd alert, if you think it's all fun and games, there is research about this, which we will link to in the show notes. Okay, it is all fun and games, so enjoy the episode. This podcast is brought to you by LifeStage. LifeStage provides opportunities for people to gain skills and knowledge for navigating today's uncertain world. The capacity for creativity, connection to new ideas and other people, collaboration, and community building. For more information, visit lifestage.me. My guest today is Caitlin Steitzer. She and I share a few different worlds. We both have trained and performed at Magnet Theater in New York City. We are also using improv in the world of mental health. And now here we are today talking about it on this podcast. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hello. Hi, Jude. I bet we can find at least 2 more strands of connection by the end of this podcast.
I have absolutely no doubt that those strands of connection are going to grow. You know what I loved about learning about your work is that right on your website, you're so brave. In terms of the mental health world, often people are not so comfortable using the word joy, number one, fun or comedy, number two, because life is so gosh darn serious and pain is real and people want to be taken seriously. And there is this wonderful opportunity that we have as people in the mental health world who are also trained as improvisers to bridge that pain with joy and fun and honor it and at the same time elevate it. So I would love to hear you share about how you got the courage to put this out there in the world in this way and what inspired you.
Yeah. So I'll start by saying that myself and improv go way, way, way back. I started improvising sort of in middle school and then more seriously in high school in Seattle, Washington. And I myself was a very socially anxious child. I have a super distinct memory of like calling people up to try and talk on the phone and just slamming the phone down as soon as someone picked up, right? Like so anxious. It really struggled to sort of like make friends. And when I got on an improv team in high school specifically, the philosophy of we are all supporting each other, the philosophy of first thought, best thought, the philosophy of getting out of your head, the philosophy of trusting yourself, all of these things was like, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like to be a confident person. And it's just sort of been a part of my life ever since. And so where I got the idea to start a workshop and eventually start a group, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And I can talk more about other ways I've used improv in my social work career. But for this one, I was myself in a process group. I was a member of a process group, which is, it sort of looks like a support group. You know, you're sitting there, you're talking about your feelings, you're talking about what it feels like to talk about your feelings, et cetera, et cetera. And in this group, the issue that so many people were bringing to group was, I can't speak up. I feel too anxious to share my voice. I'm so afraid that I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm so afraid of this and that, right? And that wasn't what I was bringing to group. I had different struggles, but I was like, this is so interesting because at one point in my life, those would have been my struggles. That would have been what I was bringing to group. And I have been so practiced with improv that they're not my struggles anymore, right? Like I experience social anxiety just like we all do, but I have a lot of practice in being able to recognize it, work with it, breathe with it, move through it, and use that social anxiety in positive ways. So, like in this group, hearing how much people were struggling, I was like, okay, this is a skill that I have. Improv was actually invented by a social worker. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I sure do. I've studied with
Yeah.
Aretha Sills, and I'm all about the social work roots in my teaching. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I just was like, this is what this is for. This is what this is for, to foster connection and to help people tune into their authentic self. Yeah.
Okay, so when you were in this process group, and those are generally not experiential, they're usually, they're talking, so self-reflective and so on. What was it like for you to bring in, when you started doing groups that integrated improv skills and improv practices? When you were offering this, were you just, let's just do this, or did you tell people, let's try some improv?
Yeah. So let's see. So this workshop that I offered now in person in Buffalo, New York, Improv for Social Anxiety. This is actually the first time I've been using improv in my mental health work in this way. I think in other group experiences, I've been using my improv skills to help me like be present, to listen, to be able to notice subtle shifts in energy in the room, to respond spontaneously. But yeah, this workshop is the first time that I was like, come work with me. I will teach you concepts of improvisational theater, and it will help you with social anxiety.
It's very cool. And it's great to just put it out there because, one, it's become really more okay for people to say that they have social anxiety. 10 years ago, I don't think people admitted to it quite as freely. And it seems to people counterintuitive to do something as leaping into the unknown, as it were. And we know as trainers and social workers and improv people who do it that you learn very slowly and gradually to go into that space of the unknown with skills that and support from everybody. Like we know that. We know we're going to help people feel psychologically safe and they're going to have fun all along the way. But the idea of improv is it almost seems antithetical to so many people to say, well, that's the scariest thing I can even think of. Why would I do that for my social anxiety? And yet there is a way in which it's a perfect match. So let's speak about that. Two things I want to ask you. You said you use improv in many areas of your social work life. Maybe touch on that just so we know a little bit more about you. That would be interesting. Then we're going to drill down into the ways in which improv specifically helps with social anxiety.
Yeah. So I had a really awesome job right out of social work school in Brooklyn at an agency called the Center for Family Life. And my job there was I helped run programs, leadership development stuff. I worked with middle school and high school kids in South Brooklyn, but I was also a theater specialist. And every year, one thing that our program did was we had a core group of high school students who would develop these partially improvised plays based on issues in their real life that were important to them. And it ended up being these huge productions. Like there were times where we would have 150 kids from like sixth grade to high school, but the acting was all partially improvised. So my job was to teach the kids improv skills. We used improvisational acting with some refinement. Think sort of like a serious Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? Like those shows that are a little bit improvised, but there's like an outline. We were using, it wasn't psychodrama, right? Like it wasn't kids acting out their own issues. It was kids who had never acted before, never performed, getting up on stage and without a script, performing in front of their peers, in front of their community. I also used to supervise groups of young people who would learn improv skills themselves. Like they would just learn like basic improv. And then in the summer, we would go around to different summer camps and like those kids would teach improv to like the camps we went to. It was a lot of community building work that I did with improvisational theater.
That's fantastic, especially with kids at that age.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
Wonderful. So maybe I wonder if we should do a game and then
Ooh,
through debriefing the game, present some of what the concepts are that make improv a good match for somebody who's struggling with social anxiety.
I think that's such a great observation, right? Like the sort of how if you're dealing with social anxiety, the last thing you might want to do is take an improv class. So let's play a game,
Yeah.
right? And this game is one of my favorites. It's incredibly simple. There's very few rules, but I will say part of why it's my favorite, it's one of the hardest for me to do. So it's called Firing Squad. And the purpose of this is to practice turning off your judgment. The purpose of this exercise, and I usually use this as a warm up. The purpose of this is to practice turning down the volume on that voice in your head that says, we have to get this right. We
Okay.
have to give the right answer, right? So the way this game works, normally you would do it in a group, but it's just going to be you and me. It's going to be equally difficult for you and me.
Okay.
I am just going to say a word or a word-like sound, and you are going to say a word or a word-like sound back. And we're just going to try and say words or word-like sounds back to each other as quickly as possible.
Okay.
There's no other rules other than that. Any questions?
I will just try it and you'll call when it's over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, here we go. Bike,
Like,
eat,
me,
wall,
whatever,
water bottle,
water bottles,
computer,
laptop,
phone,
life,
flower,
love, 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 like,
love, 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 love.
love, life, and light.
Texas.
My aunt.
And a scene.
There's something so hilarious about
Tell me. So then, like, we do that, right?
Yeah.
And then I talk about what was that like for people? What did people notice? Did anything feel fun and easy? So sometimes I start with that.
So two things I would say I noticed, and of course this something's coming at you just like a fire hose, and because we've agreed to this structure, you're letting it land on your brain, and then there's a little bit of a pause, and then the brain comes up with something. So in that sense, I know why you're saying it's hard, and it is also a wonderful bypass, as you said, around the editor that's looking for some reason to say, no, don't say that. And it happens so quickly. I mean, that's a wonderful example of just how quickly our brain is doing this stuff. Just so rapid fire going, don't say that. And then the rest of your brain is going, it's fine. You can say that. But it happens
Yeah.
within a second. And I was aware of that happening in my brain, like the pause, meaning I have nothing. Why do I have nothing? It all goes by very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just milliseconds. And it's so interesting to do this with a group because you see so clearly when someone is judging themselves, right? Like when someone is like, oh no, I'm repeating the same word, or like there's something wrong with me saying wall instead of any other word.
Right.
And you get to catch it in the moment and say, let's notice that. Let's rewind. Or like next time, what if you practice really trusting yourself? And people are like, oh, but I was repeating something too much, or I was saying words that didn't make sense. And it's like, yeah, that's allowed in the rules. We also often, I find as humans, make up a lot of extra rules in our brain about if we're doing things right and wrong. And I think that's another way in which improv can really, really help us remember those are constructs.
Yes. So I just want to chime in here on the idea of, because in working with people, this is a very fun exercise, which I'll credit you, but I'm going to use probably tomorrow.
Yay.
The idea when you do these exercises that involve saying that, first thought, responding quickly, as you say, people will often make up rules quickly and then we'll process it and they'll say, well, I didn't know if it was okay. I didn't know if that was allowed. And then, of course, we'll go over it and say, we really didn't make a rule like that. There was one rule. Just say the thing that comes to mind. And look how quickly we look for a rule or a structure. And I believe, and this is just my social work and psychotherapy training, our brain is just looking to find safety. And yes, we could say
Yes.
that the judgment or the rules are negative, but they're really just looking for us to get it right so we will be okay. And as
Yes.
improvisers, when we're doing an exercise like this, it's as simple as it is. It's taking people into a realm of, oh, a very different way of being okay. Because in the real world with social anxiety, there are ways you could say the wrong thing, of course, or say nothing
Totally.
and be embarrassed. So it's tapping spontaneity, which will give people an opportunity to find themselves in a moment rather than look for some safe thing to say. But first, I do like to emphasize to people, of course you want to be safe. Of course your brain wants to find safety. And that's what those rules and judgments are about. They're not about you not loving yourself. They're really not. They're really about, did I get it right or not? So you'll be okay. And we're just learning a different way to be okay.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Like in the workshop, part of what I go over is just how normal and necessary anxiety is. We feel anxiety because of what you said, right? We want to be safe. We want to connect to people. Oh, I can't remember her name, but the woman who sort of invented emotionally focused therapy, Sue Johnson, maybe
Yes.
Dr. Sue Johnson, she has this quote or she has this phrase or saying about how like codependence is sort of overused as a term, right? Humans need connection to survive the same way we need water and air. So the idea of putting yourself out there and then being socially rejected, right? It makes sense that we feel so much anxiety about it because at one point in our human evolution, if you're rejected from society, good. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes, you can.
Oh my gosh, good fucking luck, right? We
Exactly.
can't survive alone. We can't survive. So it makes sense that you're anxious. It makes sense that you want to quote unquote get it right. But anxiety is pulling your brain into a past that you can't change, or it's pulling your brain into a future that may or may not happen. And improv teaches us to be in the present. It's scary. It might not go well, right? But if you can be in the present, if you can be with this person, that will help your chances of it going well.
That's beautifully expressed. I love that because it's true. Anxiety is going to say, remember that time that someone was so mean to you, or you actually did really embarrass yourself or mess up. And oh my gosh, I don't ever want to do that again. So then we're in the future going, I hope I don't do that again. And improv is this wonderful blend of, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen right now. And I'm in this moment with this other person who also, we're both in this space together. And it's the I have your back idea. And we learn to, you're tapping spontaneity. Spontaneity goes up, anxiety goes down. When anxiety is high, spontaneity is lower. And
Yeah.
we're really giving people more capacity for spontaneity, and their anxiety is just going to be less. I just want to put in here a little story, a true story, and then I want us to do another game. But this is a true moment when improv helped me with some social anxiety that I still use this improv tool because there are worlds in which I really struggle. And that is professional networking kind of events. I find I have nothing to say. And you're there to connect with people. That's the whole darn purpose of it. And I used to just avoid them altogether. I don't mean I go to a networking event and then just sit there. I just don't go. But if I have to go for my business or for a show that I'm doing or something, I learned this. I was in a class with Nick Kanellis from Magnet Theater.
Love Nick.
Nick from
Yes.
Trike. Everybody want to go see something great at Magnet Theater, go see Trike.
I always say, yeah, like it's one of the best shows in New York City, consistently hand down. Yes. Love Nick.
100%. And he's such a great teacher. This was a very low key exercise that he did compared to some of the other stuff he teaches, but it was early in my improv journey. And we were doing a get to know you exercise. So we were pairing up, and you find out something like, what was your trip like here to the class today? Or something about your weekend. And then your partner would share that information with the class in the style of blank. So say that in the style of a car salesman, say that in the style of a preacher, say that in the style of the high school principal giving the announcements at the end of the day, such a thing like this. And so it was very fun, but you were also hearing through the funnel of that character true things about a person. And then he had us listen as if you are a blank. And what I got was listen as if you are a spy. So I was listening to my partner as if I was a spy. And then I began thinking and then sharing about it. I thought, well, a spy doesn't want to change anything about the person. The spy just wants to get information. The spy just wants to find out as much as they can and then internalize it. And they're not there to change anything. They're just there to observe and then report back. And I used that exact role, that idea, like I'm a spy. When I would go to some family functions or networking events, I would say, I'm a spy. I'm not there to make an impact. I'm just there to gather information. And just having that, it's just a role, it's a character, really. But I was me through the funnel of a spy. And it was improv that got me to actually speak up in some of these environments because I was just reporting in.
Yes, you got to practice accessing your inner spy,
Yes.
right? So there's this type of therapy called internal family systems. Super cool, super hot in the therapy world. And it's this idea, it's sort of this therapeutic modality and philosophy that we all carry so many different parts within ourselves, right? And a lot of therapies have variations of this idea built in within them. So I love that story because I think that's a different way that improv can also help us with social anxiety, which is you get to try on different versions of yourself.
Right.
You get to let different parts of yourself come to the forefront when maybe in the past they would have been afraid to, right? Like I did the same exact thing when I was in New York City and was like trying to make friends and do things in the improv community. And I would walk into a bar and I would be like, I'm just imagining everyone is saying, yeah, who's that? And a friend was like, well, just imagine, just change your mind, right? Because we don't know what anyone is thinking.
Right.
Don't make assumptions. You don't make assumptions in improv. You just have to say it. I don't know what anyone is thinking. I can change my mindset to just imagine. What if everyone's saying or thinking, ooh, who's that? And how does that change how I just walk into the room? And it's like you still feel the anxiety, right? You're still playing a part in a way, I think, but you have this awareness that your brain can be such an asshole and such a liar
Right.
that you might as well work with your brain to tell yourself a different story, you know?
Yes, what you're saying to tap the imagination, bring that into this real world situation, and
Mhm.
then I love I'm going to use that one too. Like, oh, what is just because it gives you a different way of walking and experiencing the atmosphere. But after you warm up, because I think it's getting in the space, it's like if I have to force myself to go into something and I have to deal with it professionally, or sometimes there are family things where there's a lot of tension. But if
Yeah.
I go in as the spy, and it's the antidote to codependency, by the way, that's probably what made me think of it when you mentioned the codependent style, because the spy is not there to change anything. In fact, they would be in big trouble if they did. They're just there to take in what is happening. And that's a form of detachment, but still engaging. And then once you warm up, whether it's going in and saying, oh, what is she doing? Oh, look at her. She's great. Or you're a spy. After a while, maybe that role isn't necessary anymore. Maybe you start to make some real genuine connections, but it's the way to begin that creates safety for yourself, and you can bring it with you. And your brain is really tricked into thinking you're doing that. That's acting, really.
Yeah. And our brain can't really tell the difference between our imagination and reality. And our emotions are a physical reality. So again, if you start thinking anxious thoughts, you're in the future, you're in the past, you're like, oh my gosh, danger, people might not like me. Maybe that means I'll be dead, like
Yeah.
deep down, like in our subconscious. And your brain starts releasing all of these chemicals that create that anxiety too. So being able to just notice all of it, your brain and your body and all of the reactions that are happening.
Yes, and role taking is behavioral, it's emotional, and it's cognitive. So taking a role, like I'm great, I'm walking into this bar, like I belong here. You're all in. And that creates safety for ourselves also. But other people don't have to know that we needed that warm up to get in the room. And it really is effective. All right. So let's do another game.
Awesome. Okay. So let's do a game. We're going to be adjusting this game in real time right now. So this is called 6 in 60. My friend Mel came up with this or taught this game to me. And the way it works is Jude and I are going to be doing matching scenes or peas in a pod. which means that we're going to be creating characters. And whatever character I create to start the scene, Jude is going to try her best to match my character as much as possible. So the purpose of this is we're going into it knowing we're going to be supported and knowing that we're going to support other people. So we get to practice that in real time. You be the person initiating scenes. Is that okay?
It's okay. And you'll say switch, and then I'll
Yes.
do a new one and you're going to match me.
Yeah, absolutely. Scene, begin.
It's so windy. The wind is just, it's overwhelming.
Ah, it's terrible. I've never seen it this windy this time of year.
Switch.
I'm so tired. I am tired. You know what I'm saying?
Me too. Oh my God. It is too hard to find energy. Switch.
I love life. I'm so chill.
Oh, my goodness. You're talking to the right cat. Switch.
I will not tolerate this.
Nor
Shall I?
We shall not.
Switch.
I'm scared, okay? I'm just nervous.
We're going into a haunted house. Of course we're nervous.
There's cobwebs and things.
No, and scary spiders. Switch.
For the rest of the day, we will be resting.
Oh, absolutely.
and scene. I think we just said it.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be honest. When I first agreed to do this podcast and I saw that people did games on air, I felt so anxious about that. Like, I was not someone who did Zoom improv during the pandemic. I was like, not for me. No, thank you. So I was really, really nervous about it. But also coming from an improv background, right? It's just like, you know what? What's the worst that happens? Just yes and it, give it a try. And that was so much fun. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You did
Well,
Brad. You were so
you yes
awesome.
ended it so well. It was really fun to have you just jump right in and be there with me. That 10 seconds goes by very, very quickly.
Oh my gosh, I know.
To me, I mean, it's weird. It's like the paradox of improv, and it's one of the things I love about it. So that both creates a little bit of pressure, but you cannot think ahead. You can't. You got 10 seconds to embody something, and then 10 seconds go by and you just do something new. You can't overthink it. It's impossible to overthink it at the same time that you're doing it.
Really.
And having you join me, that was very empowering. And I believe that that's a wonderful exercise for this purpose, because that just immediately cut into any sense of I'm out there looking any way whatsoever. I'm not. You're there with me.
Yeah.
That principle of improv is so empowering. The number one thing I would say people struggle to actually believe is that don't be worried about yourself, be worried about your partner. Not worried about, well, it's not the right word, but people will be worried about themselves. But if you say, okay, transition, instead of being worried about yourself, focus on your partner and what your partner needs. That will take care of that anxiety. And it always works, and it always surprises everybody. That's what you just demonstrated there.
Oh my, yeah. That's such a great way of framing it. I remember using an activity similar to this. It's called Hitchhiker. It's a pretty famous or well-known improv game. I remember like one of the first years working in Sunset Park with one of the first groups of teens, and playing Hitchhiker was so transformative, because when you are a teenager, talk about social anxiety, talk about the stakes and the pressure, right? You are forced to coexist with all of these people for 4 goddamn years, however many hours a day. We forget that about high school. If people hate you, you have to like sit in the same class as them forever. And so like giving kids the permission to, step into different aspects of themselves, just try things out. Don't even think about it. Don't worry about looking silly. The other people are going to do it with you. So if anyone looks silly, it'll be all 4 of us together. That is so incredibly freeing. And then again, I just really love any improv activity that helps us turn off our brain, get out of our head. I think that's a big part of working through social anxiety too.
100%. Just for people who are listening and don't know what Hitchhiker is, Let's
Oh,
explain really briefly the hitchhiker exercise. You can describe it if you like.
yeah. So it's an exercise that you can do with a big group of people or, 4 or 2. There's a driver, and the driver is a neutral character. And sometimes there are passengers in the car, and they see a hitchhiker on the side of the road. This is the scene. And when they pull over, they mind pulling over, they mind letting the hitchhiker in. And the hitchhiker comes in a big character, like one of the characters that Jude just did. As soon as the hitchhiker enters the car, everyone in the car becomes that character. It's like 4 peas in a pod. It's like 4 of the same exact valley girls or snobby men or whiny babies, right? 4 whiny babies in a car. And you can sort of move around and different people have a chance to initiate being the hitchhiker. But it's really fun because it allows you to, one, right, support other people. And when you're just caring about supporting other people, it pushes out a lot of worry you have about yourself. It expands the limits of your comfort zone because a lot of times in supporting other people, you're like, oh, I didn't think I wanted to pretend to be a talking cat today, but I'm going to do it because that's what they did, right? So you're like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I love
Thank you.
Hitchhiker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not everybody might have experienced that game, but that's a good description
totally.
of it. And there's a few things about that in every environment that I've used applied improv, just about. The hitchhiker exercise is used in some form. And I think it's a wonderful way to demonstrate unwavering support. So no matter what
Mhm.
one person does, we all will do. So then to talk about, okay, we were all uncomfortable together, but then we were all laughing about it because we were being weird. And I think, especially, I work a lot with professionals and people in the medical world or mental health professionals as well, not very comfortable being silly or weird in front of each other. Just being weird or silly in front of each other busts up this idea of this kind of persona that I have to present to the world. And just doing that, just having the experience of doing it expands that capacity a little bit more. Oh, I did that. I can be a little bit weird. And it doesn't mean they're going to go out and be weird in the world, but they're going to maybe be a little bit less tight, a little bit less worried about how they're coming across. Because
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I think of it as like when you put helium in a balloon and you see the shape of a balloon and you let the helium out, the balloon is still expanded a little bit. So the
Yeah.
actual comedy experience is of the helium in the balloon, right? It's all filled out and you go, ah. Then you go back to the regular world. Some of that helium is let out, but the balloon is expanded now.
1,000%. Yeah. Like I talk about that too in the workshop. And even when I'm teaching just like regular improv classes, like our brain is a muscle, right? We have muscle memory in our brain. I mean, it's not technically a muscle, but like as a metaphor, it's a muscle, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And yeah, and what you practice is what your brain is comfortable doing. So if you're very, very practiced with self-censoring, if you're very practiced with self-silencing, if you're very practiced with telling yourself what I have to say doesn't matter, it's easy for your brain to keep going down those pathways. But when you are in an improv workshop or performing improv, you are practicing not judging yourself. You're practicing listening and being present with a person versus ruminating over what you did say or what you're going to say. You're practicing. This is the other thing I love about improv, right? You're practicing trusting that what you have to offer is important and beautiful and wanted. You're practicing recognizing that your presence in a scene impacts the scene no matter what, You're practicing this concept of it's your turn. It's always your turn. That's a Jill Bernard. She's an improviser in Minneapolis. She says that, like, it's always your turn. And then it's easier for you to access those states of mind in other situations. It's muscle memory. Yeah.
Thank you. It is muscle memory. And muscle is the best metaphor, I think, for the skills that you learn in order to improvise because they are a drill. You're drilling your brain to think in a new and different way that gets around those old constructs and especially gets around those self-protective defenses because those self-protective defenses, as we said before, they're there for a reason. They're there because we got hurt. They're there because we got embarrassed. We didn't get it right and something happened and we were hurt and rejected. We don't want that to happen again. And it is a wonderful gift to learn to trust yourself and that you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I really wanted to say this, like on that aspect too, that we have these defenses because we've been hurt before, because we've tried something socially and we failed before. Another reason why I love improv as a practice for social anxiety is I really think when you practice improv, you're also practicing failing again and again, right? You will have bad scenes. You will have bad shows. You'll have awkward teams, right? Like Keith Johnstone, who is another famous improv guru guy. He invented theater sports. He's a British guy. When he was first starting his company, they embraced the idea of sometimes we have bad shows. They would give money back to the audience if they thought they did a bad show. They were just like, that was bad. Come back next week. We'll do better, you know? And he's like, if you're not doing bad improv, you're probably not pushing yourself. There's also, right, like it's, yes, you've been hurt before. We've been hurt before. Yes, we've failed in our relationship before. Yes, it is very, very painful. And we keep moving. Failing means you tried. Rejection means you cared. It happened. It has to happen. We can't find success without failing. And that's such a hard reality. In my work right now, I find that so many clients really struggle with the idea of, but I might fail when I'm making friends. I might waste my time. I don't want to go to that singles event. I don't want to go to that workshop. What if it's a waste of time? And I just have to say, that might happen. You might hate it. It might be bad. That is our life, you know?
Yes. Yeah. This is all so important. I'm really glad you brought that essential point about that improv teaches us a different way to think about something not working, something not going well, people not receiving it, because we're all out there just trying something. And I always say to my students, they get really hard on themselves, and I say, did you go out there trying to hurt anybody? Did you go out there trying to insult people, your teammates? No, of course not. Okay, you went out there and you tried to improvise and it just blew up. Good for you. The only reason to shame yourself would be, oh, I went out there to try to sabotage someone else. And no one is ever doing that. So you just made some beautiful points. And we are in our life, with the pace of change, we don't have as much time between action and consequences in the speed of life today. It's just something I think about a lot. Change would happen and we would have time to reflect on it, time to habituate ourselves. And we really just don't that much anymore. And it changes our brain. So improv is a different way to approach thinking fast and slow. I'm going to have this experience of potentially not going well, and then I'm going to reflect on it with my peers or my teacher or somebody, or with myself, journal about it, and make something out of it. I'm going to choose for myself what that means to me. So thank you for this amazing conversation, Caitlin.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh.
Caitlin, how can people find you for more information about you?
Yes. Yeah. The best way. So I am the founder and owner of Good Practice Therapy. So www.good-practice-therapy.com. You can check out my website for I have different virtual groups coming up and in-person workshops in Western New York. And there'll be a thing to sign up for my mailing list somewhere on the website sometime soon. So that's the best way to find me. Yeah.
And Instagram.
Oh, and Instagram. Yeah. Good Practice Therapy, LCSW. That's another good way to find me. Thank you.
Yeah, I found you on Instagram. Well, this was so much fun and so delightful to talk about this very important topic and play games with you. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you so much, Jude.
That's it for this episode of Improv in Real Life. For more info about our guest and other resources, you can visit our show notes. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please follow or subscribe wherever you listen. And if you're feeling extra generous, write us a review or share with a friend. You can also find us on Instagram at lifestage_inc. And if you want to dive deeper into these concepts, please connect with me on Substack at Jude Treder-Wolff.
To be continued, to be continued, to be continued.
We need each other now more than ever. We need creativity more than ever. I hope these games and ideas inspire you in some way. And if they do, keep it going. I will too. See you next time.